India is a pro storage country right from the beginning. We store everything. We have this habit of storing everything, right from money to food to water to clothes, everything. We have learned how to reuse, recycle. Best is that we now start storing energy. If we don't do it now, we will miss the bus again.
We have a wonderful audience from public sector undertaking, renewable energy companies. We have invited 5-6 national law school and other law schools also so that they can hear you. Especially I have invited lady law students. I want them to hear you and take inspiration from you.
So welcome Dr. Rashi Gupta. I take privilege in introducing to all of you Dr. Rashi Gupta, who is a visionary, a motivational speaker. She's a techie and a serial entrepreneur who today is fondly known as Batterywali of India. She's a pioneer in India in advanced lithium batteries, bringing the world's smartest lithium battery to India. She has been working on women empowerment issues globally and advocates gender equality. A committee member with Bureau of Indian Standards, International Electrotechnical Commission, National Energy Storage Committee, and an admired speaker on various forums of energy storage. So e-mobility is also one of the focus areas that she has. Ma'am, the floor is all yours and would love to listen.
Thank you so much, Shraddha. Thank you, Raj, for inviting me today for this session. I'm here to talk on energy storage and something that is picking up, and it is very important that we understand that if we have to get into renewable energies and we want to fulfill the target, we incorporate energy storage into our power sector. And it is very clearly important that we do it now. The time is now. If we don't do it now, we will miss the bus again. I was also listening to you when you were saying that distribution companies have those monopolies and stuff, and parallelly they could not be, and I could read something in the chat as well. So I would like to state here is that important factor is that we adopt more of a hybridization of storage also, not just storage but even hybridization of storage, which is very important. We should have the correct mix of centralized large scale storages and decentralized or distributed small storages at an individual level or at a community level where they are smaller. This would really strengthen the power sector to something which we can to the core, and this will help all of us to deal with the problems that we're having today with the power sector. So that is something really very important. Also, what I would say is like energy storage comes into many different forms. It is not just battery storage, it is even thermal storage, even it is liquid air storage. It is there are many things coming. There's now liquid metal storage batteries which are coming. There are different style of them, of course, very different from lithium ion and lead acid that we have been conventionally dealing with throughout. So there's gravitational storage, there's mechanical storage, there's pumped hydro storage. There are so many varieties. So what we need to do is we need to identify which is the important storage for which application and how we can implement each one of them at different levels into the power grid. See, peak shaving, grid balancing, frequency regulation. These are some very important aspects which the storage can help the power sector to deal with. Of course, I mean, as a backup is the first and the most primary method which the storage has been used throughout. So other than that, these are something important. Now, what is happening is that you can have one storage do the multiple functions. You don't need to have different storages for each function of these. So you can have just one storage doing your peak shaving, frequency regulation, grid stabilization. All of this can be done with just one storage. So you need to have an efficient EMS for this, and this would give you a peace of mind, as well as you can regulate your entire power distribution and transmission mechanism really well. Now, what you need to do is you need to understand how much is your load variance at what point of time, and how much do you need to really regulate at that very moment. So an instantaneous data, if you have, maybe an hourly data, that would also suffice. Then you can have these batteries installed or maybe energy storage installed, which can give you the amount of regulation that is required at that very moment into the system. It will add more resilience into the system, which will really help us to strengthen our grid. So energy storage is a supplement which will help you strengthen the grid. Now what is happening is there are so many distributed solar systems and renewable energy systems in terms of wind, which is feeding to the grid. But We all know the disadvantages of on-grid systems because we cannot use the power when there is a grid failure, and essentially it is just the net metering or the gross metering in some states which is being implemented. But something now that should come is energy arbitrage. We should now look forward to coming to something as energy arbitrage and feeding to the grid from the battery when the tariff, and when the tariffs are really high at that time, so that you can have the maximum revenue. So now energy trading should be another area which the law should also focus on, as well as the power sector should now be open for this. This would really help, I think, even the discoms to cover up their losses if they can really come with an innovative financial model. This would really help all of us to overcome these challenges that we are facing in the energy sector now. Something which is very important is that we all are going through is the climate change now, and climate change has its own impact, and we have seen that in the pandemic as well. And I mean, the pandemic is still ongoing with the second wave and nobody is exempted, but the point is we need to build in more resilience into the system, and that can be done with storage. See, now for an example, if you have a megawatt of a storage, so what you can do is you can use it multiple times in a day by charging it and discharging it at a regular intervals to actually really bring an impact to your grid and in that neighboring area. Something which you need to promote a little more is on microgrids and mini grids. We have just finished one microgrid project of a megawatt scale now, and we have seen how important it was for the customer there, and that has really impacted on being independent. The first thing, having more green and clean energy coming into the system. And second is, he is now free from complete power outages. So that gives him a zero blackout advantage. So the same advantage can be used by the power sector as well, if they can incorporate this. The only thing is you have to really think of an innovative financial model, just like how we did it in the solar sector. Same thing has to come with the storage sector also. Another thing is that we cannot run behind one technology, which is something that I've been highlighting on many forums. We need a hybrid mix because India is a very unique country, and we have a lot of things, which are unique to our country: situations, geography, people, method of usage, distribution network. I mean, many things are like unique to us, and the climate. So we need to make a situation in such a fashion that we use multiple technologies together, which can really impact the power grid and the power sector, make it more reliable. Because having a reliable power is very important. Like we have seen the need in the pandemic. Like today, you and I are sitting here and talking on this forum is just because we have energy access, we have an internet access, and we have a good computer with us, which can help us do this. So without electricity, nothing is going to work. So even if there's a downtime of 15-20 minutes, imagine the amount of phone calls guys have to deal with. It's like huge. So we need to build in more and more reliability in the power sector. Another important aspect that one should also look into when they're doing energy storage installations is the preventive and predictive monitoring of the systems, because when you do preventive and predictive monitoring of the systems, you can actually imbibe more resilience, you can have more preparedness of the downtime, and you can do a remote fault finding way before it can occur with artificial intelligence imbibed into it. So we are also doing such projects here in India, and these really make a lot of difference to the community at large. In microgrids, mini grids, and in the megawatt scale storage, they really make a big impact, because you can predict well in advance that, okay, now the system is misbehaving and there could be a fault due to XYZ reasons. So when you do these kind of things, when you add intelligence to storage, it really helps you to build in more resilience into the system. You are more prepared for the downtimes, you're more prepared to act faster in terms of resolution of the problems that could arise. And it also gives you a financial freedom to quite certain extent, because you can plan your maintenance budget onto this. So that really helps you. Plus, it gives you a longer life. Right now, the life could be anything between 5 to 10 years, or even go up to 20 years, depending on what kind of storage technology you're using. So with these parameters, things become really, really easy to implement. You can have, like I said before, also you can have many. Yeah, I can see one of the questions here. Still, how many years we require to shift from fossil fuel to electricity energy? That is up to you to decide in the power sector. When do you want to change? Technology is all available. Money, I don't see a problem. Funds are available if you really want to implement it. And the willingness is the first thing, I think. When you're 100% willing to shift, and we can get out of the political and commercial issues, I think we can really adopt completely and get into electricity energy, or green and clean energy, and stop fossil fuels and the stress that we all deal with daily. But long-term contract fuels of fossil power plants, yes, I mean, that's what I said. Once we are out of the political and commercial issues, I think it is nothing to will stop us from adopting from these. So something we have to see is, of course, you can take Raj sir's help in finding out the loopholes between the fossil long-term fuel contracts, wherein how you can have the exit policy out of this. But energy storage is something which can actually help you even reduce the impact from the fossil fuel power plants. That can be done. You can start first, initially what you should do is you should start with minimization and then go in for complete replacement. That makes more sense because of the financial commitments and implications of the long-term contracts, as well as pilot and validation of the energy storage. I mean, of course, we don't really need it because it's already been exhibited throughout the world. But then India, like I said, has been very unique. So if we can adopt to a smaller distributed energy storage plants, which will also help us reduce the impact of the fossil fuel power that we have been consuming for so long. Also, one of the most recent developments has been that the green energy tax has been implemented, wherein most of the distribution companies are putting a green energy tax if the consumer wants the energy from the green source. So one solution is, okay. Let me just complete this sentence first, where I'm talking of the green energy tax, which is just now come in. So this would somehow impact the adoption of renewable energies, and this will impact the storage as well. But we all need to understand that there has to be a financial overhauling now done for the entire model that we have been following. And once we do that, I'm very sure we can live in harmony with the fossil fuels and the renewable energies as well. So now coming to the comment in the chat box, one solution is flexible operational of fossil fuel power plants with only balancing grid with RE. So energy storage would play a role there, and this would help. Now, what you should also do while sizing of the system is ensure that you use the maximum number of cycles per day. Something which I see missing most of the times is that people oversize the system, which becomes really expensive and it becomes financially unviable. So even though it is technically fine, but you have to strike a balance between the techno-commerciality of the project. And that's where you have to use the maximum number of cycles in a day to actually achieve the best and the maximum output of the energy storage system. So these are certain important aspects, I think, that energy storage should look into. And we have been working around this for a very long time now, since 2015, wherein we have seen how energy storage plays a very important role. And now what is required is that we need to adapt to, like I said, number one is a new financial model. Second is energy arbitrage. Third is allowing flexibility in the power trading, and more and more distributed adoption with a certain percentage of centralized big power plants. This would really help getting a lot of resilience and reliability into the power sector. Also, this would reduce the impact, the financial burden on the distribution companies and the transmission companies, which is right now a big challenge that all of us are facing. So over to you, Shraddha and Rajji, and thank you for this opportunity.
Shraddha, can I ask one question actually?
Yes, sir, please.
Dr. Rashi, you have been the most influential woman in renewable energy, especially in energy storage, and you have also been, advisor of Trans India Law Associates for I think so last 6 years. So I just wanted to know, because your company is doing remarkable work. So what are three most important services and products which your company manufactures, which is useful to the power industry actually, especially discoms and transmission companies?
Okay, so what we do is we have a megawatt scale project called as Julie Plus. I will type it in the chat box. It is called JULIE Plus. This product is a containerized megawatt scale solution. This can go up to 90 megawatt hours. And this product really helps in doing all the functions that I said of peak shaving, frequency regulation, energy shifting, and it also can feed back to the grid if required, and you can have wind and solar integration with this product. So this is something which really helps in the microgrid segment in the megawatt scale. Some places, in the city and in the urban areas where you require maybe a kilowatt range kind of a distributed small microgrid kind of a mini grid kind of a situation, then you can have a product called as One Box, which really helps. And these I think two are something which are very, very focused and in the core of hybridization. Also, we have just recently executed. Yes, I'll come to green hydrogen also, just a minute. And what happens is, another important thing that we have done is the active balancing of the batteries, which increases the life of the battery by more than 30%. And it gives you the maximum possible juice out of your battery or your energy storage product. So that really helps you a lot. And we have a 7 millisecond response time. So there will be absolutely no outage. I mean, within the one frequency, you can have this entire thing running out of the one sine wave. So that really helps a lot, because then there's a zero blackout, there's no outages, and there will be no flicker into the system. This is something which is very unique, and this really helps a lot to those systems. Then another thing that I'd like to add is as I said, was the preventive and predictive monitoring. With that, we can predict 3 months in advance that your systems are going to go bad. And a 15-day, again, emergency notices will be issued, which will tell you that, okay, now it's time to really look into the system, and maybe you need a maintenance, or maybe you need a replacement, or you need repairs. So that is something which has really helped in focus in planning and maintenance and creating more resilience into the system. And of course, the most important is the peace of mind. Because when you have such big systems running into such megawatt scales, it really becomes difficult to have a full the whole mechanism is like really expensive if you have to change it, or if you have to implement maintenance to it. So these kind of systems really work well. Now, this is what we have been doing since a long time in the country, and this has helped most of my customers now, wherein I see a difference with them, and they're happy with it actually. So now coming to two questions that I can see.
Ma'am, if you don't mind, I'll just read out the question for others.
Yeah, please.
You make my work a lot easy, but yes. So Mr. Kandat Mistry asked that green hydrogen storage is helping Indian power sector, like electrolysis from RE generation. Yes,
green hydrogen is important. Like I said, every storage technology is important. And like I've said on many forums before also, India is a pro-storage country right from the beginning. We store everything. We have this habit of storing everything, right from money to food to water to clothes, everything. We have learned how to reuse, recycle. Best is that we now start storing energy, because that is the need of the hour now. And green hydrogen definitely makes sense with RE generation to use it. And with the new budget also, I think we will see more and more implementation of this coming really soon. That makes sense.
Absolutely, ma'am. We have next from Mr. Gautam Dev. who asks that in microgrid with solar plus battery backup, what is the minimum price we have achieved so far so that we have 24/7 supply?
We can have a grid parity with this. We can have a grid parity, and with solar prices falling and battery prices falling, I think we can go even cheaper than the grid very soon. Maybe just 2-3 years will be cheaper than the grid. At present, it's at grid parity. You can have grid parity. But you have to size your system very carefully and very adequately. You can have grid parity.
Ma'am, we have one from Mr. Sushil Jadhav who says, what are the benefits of energy storage to a common man? Can a common man make commercial use of energy storage?
Of course, I mean, commercial use of energy storage is there. When you talk of hybrid and feeding back to the grid, you're earning money from the grid, right? So the commercial usage is always there. If that is what your meaning of commercial use is, if there's anything else, please type it in the chat box. And what I mean, what I have to say is that, see, the most important and the first benefit is a zero blackout. When you use energy storage with your renewable energy and a combination of the grid, you have to have a zero blackout, which is the most important aspect of energy storage. Second is it brings a lot of resilience into system, because even if you have RE and you're in an on-grid system, there's a grid failure, you cannot use that. What is the use of putting the solar system when you cannot use when it is required? For a common man, I mean, if I was a layman, that was my first request, was that I should be able to use solar when my grid fails. And that is possible only with energy storage. So you should not go off grid, you should not go on grid, you should go the hybrid mode, wherein you include net metering or the gross metering as per the state, and you use energy storage, you use renewable energies, as well as you use grid with the most optimized storage capacity to get the maximum benefit out of your system. So monetary benefit, number one, peace of mind, number two, having an energy access 24/7 is the most important one that I'd say.
Absolutely, ma'am. Ma'am, one from Mr. Abhijit Roy. Dr. Rashi, India is the second largest producer of coal, and it is still now the cheapest source of energy. RE will increase power purchase cost of DISCOMs and result in tariff hike to customers. How can this trade-off be balanced?
I think, what individual customers that I always tell them is that put your own plans and put your own storage. Use the grid as and when you need it. And see, right now, like I also said, that if you put renewable energies with storage, you can achieve grid parity with the right sense of right capacity and right design. So at the same time, if we look at all of this, see, we are a good cheapest source of energy is fine, but what happens is till the time it reaches the end user, the tariff is already high. So as of now, if we size a system well, we can have grid parity. And even if it is grid parity, the customer is pretty happy. He's still having clean, green energy resource. And over a period of time, the grid prices will increase, but the energy from the renewable energy and storage prices will fall. So even if he has made it the investment today, his ROI can be well within 3 years, and post that the energy is free. So it always makes sense, even though you have the result of tariff hike, it will still make sense.
Yeah, Shraddha, one
Yes.
thing I wanted to inform Dr. Rashi. Dr. Rashi, because of the demand in the industry, we have recently started one course which is called E-Mobility and Energy Storage Laws online certificate course. It will also be a 3-month course, and it will be basically for people who are into energy storage like hydrogen energy, battery, and pumped storage, and also e-mobility sector, because e-mobility and energy storage are linked together. So maybe we think that besides energy sector, in the mobility sector, the energy storage will play a very, very important role.
Yes,
So,
one thing, Raji, I like to add here is V2G. Vehicle to grid is something that is going to play a very, very major role if we allow it. Right now, we are doing the work on standardizations for V2G, but the tariff structure, and if we can get something, right now the charging infrastructure is a challenge. So we are all dealing with that. We're trying to implement more charging infrastructure, but the minute we are through with that, I think V2G will play a very, very important and a crucial role in energy sector and e-mobility, definitely.
yes, absolutely. And we would also I would request the team to show the course to you so that you can see, and we will discuss legal aspects also in that
Sure,
course.
definitely. I'm all there for you.
Yeah. So in general, in maybe 5 minutes, if you can tell the team ki e-mobility and energy storage, especially energy storage, what kind of contracts are there, and what kind of legal implications are there, or what kind of environmental issues you have to take care while producing and while operating energy storage systems, actually, if it is possible.
Well, let me tell you something that with energy storage right now, the most important point to be noted here is that the battery or your storage, whatever you are using, should not feed to the grid. That is one very important aspect to be taken care of. Say, for example, if there's a grid failure, so the battery or energy storage should feed only to the load and not feed back to the grid. That is something which is very crucial. And what will happen is that you will not be able to earn a revenue out of this. Other than that, whatever laws are applicable to the solar and the wind energy industry, you have to take care of that. Other than that, the storage per se in environmental impact should not be there. You should make sure that there is no fumes or no pollution coming out of this. Most of the batteries today are fine, are into that segment. Secondly, one of the most recent developments is on the recycling, wherein we have this draft which is already out, which says that the recycling is going way back till the manufacturer. So that is something that you have to take care in the long term. In the long-term agreements that you make for the for the energy storage, because disposal of the energy storage entity is very important. Then another aspect is the tariff, because tariff would be, if it is at, because if you just consider solar, the tariffs we all know how they are at less than 2 rupees, 1 rupee, something that we are all looking at. But when you club storage to it, you have to go to up to 4 or 5 rupees. So the tariff has to be understood. Also, a levelized cost of energy has to be taken into consideration when you look into energy storage projects. Then certain performance guarantees also come into play in the contract, wherein because what happens is it's a long-term project. You're not looking at anything less than 10 years here. So when you're looking at 10 years and 15 years, you have to ensure that whatever is committed right at the beginning is fulfilled till the end. So this is something that, in terms of legalities, one has to be careful with the contracts that they are signing in this case. Another thing nowadays, which is just becoming very optimistic rather for the adoption of energy storage projects, are the OPEX model, just like how they are in the solar sector, wherein the RESCO or the rental or the OPEX model is very popular. So same thing is also being tried with energy storage as a service. So at that time, these are important aspects that one needs to consider. Of course, complying to the IEC, BIS, and all these standards, whatever are UL, are important. I mean, they have to be taken care of. I mean, that's most important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And because of the federal structure of the energy sector, see, electricity is a concurrent subject in the constitution, and the part which is regulated, the discoms are regulated by State Electricity Regulatory Commission. So effectively, as of now, for charging stations, if there is a mass installation of charging stations, the tariffs for charging stations will be determined by State Electricity Regulatory Commission.
Yes.
So as of now, we don't see a possibility of a national tariff, pan India, somebody saying it will be, it is just like...
It is state-wise. It is state-wise, clearly.
अलग-अलग state में खरीदते हो पेट्रोल तो अलग-अलग charge होता है, वैसे ही उसको, it will be different. You just cross Noida, then you have to pay a different charge. Okay, all right. But that was very, very useful.